All right, 6 teams remain undefeated in college football right now, including right at the top of the rankings with Ohio State and Indiana unbeaten at number 1 and 2. Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, BYU, Navy have all avoided upset so far. But how long will they keep it going? So here we thought at HQ, it was time to do some detective work, trying to find the loss on their schedule. We know in this era of college football, between NIL and the expanded seasons, it's hard to go undefeated. Not saying someone can't do it. We're just going to find out if there is a roadblock in the way. Where could it be? And that's why we got our guy Brad Crawford joining us now. And Brad, let's start from the bottom up with Navy. What are the potential roadblocks, or how soon do the roadblocks start coming for Navy?
Yeah, in Navy's case, it's going to be multiple losses, unfortunately. Midshipmen, although they've done well through the first 9 weeks of the season with 7 wins, this schedule among these 6 unbeaten teams is the toughest left in the FBS ranks. You've got North Texas on the road Saturday. That could be a potential loss there. Then they play at Notre Dame. Then Navy hosts USF, a team that's already beaten 2 ranked teams. Then they go to Memphis. So look, Navy would certainly earn a playoff spot, even if it finishes with 1 loss, much less undefeated with this schedule. But winning the American is what has to happen for this G5 team to make the 12-team bracket.
Yeah, North Texas coming into this game 7-1 on the season. So they're having a pretty good year themselves. All right, let's move into the rankings now. And BYU, Utah, Colorado flirted with upset disaster there for the Cougars. So where's the next hurdle that BYU really has to be careful with?
Yeah, I think the next hurdle is obviously Texas Tech here in a couple of weeks, but I think the first loss for the Cougars is going to come at Cincinnati on November 22nd. It's a team that right now is also unbeaten in Big 12 play. BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, Texas Tech, those are the 4 teams right now at the top of that league. But I'm worried about the Red Raiders. That's why I have BYU winning that road game here in a couple weeks. Texas Tech has a quarterback out for the season in Will Hammond. The starter, Baron Morton's been a little banged up, so I do think BYU can beat the Red Raiders on the road. But 2 weeks later at Cincinnati, that's a game that the winner of that probably goes on and plays in the Big 12 championship game.
Brett, in the ACC, there's 2 unbeaten teams in conference play. You got Georgia Tech and Virginia. Georgia Tech, though, the only one that's still unbeaten in totality here. Can anyone beat Hayes King and company?
They can't go unbeaten. They're going to have to beat Georgia. They're going to have to beat Pitt down the stretch. Saturday night, they play a tough game at NC State. The spread on that one, by the way, keeps going down. I think it's 5.5 as of now. Georgia Tech has won several ACC road games this season behind Hayes King, and they've done it in kind of ugly fashion. Now, Brent Key's not going to argue about that, but beating Wake Forest by a couple points, they've survived at Duke. Georgia Tech's a team hanging by a thread right now as far as the unbeaten's concerned, and I do think that game at Pitt in November, when they've already have a berth in the ACC championship game wrapped up, that could be a loss looking ahead to Georgia. It's a classic trap game spot, especially if Georgia Tech goes into that Pitt game 10-0. Right now, Pitt has a freshman quarterback, by the way, who is lighting it up through the air. So if there is a loss before the Georgia game, it's Pitt for the Yellow Jackets.
Pitt might as well just always be a trap game for everybody. It seems like they're always a tough one to beat. Let's move into the SEC now. Texas A&M, they're all the way up to number 3. They beat LSU. Now Brian Kelly is out on the street looking for another job. Is there a team out there? What's the team that could beat them? They've got 4 games left, 2 against ranked opponents.
Yeah, a lot of us thought the Aggies' first loss may come in upset fashion over the weekend in Baton Rouge. But in the second half, Marcel Reed and that offense just annihilated the Tigers, leading to, like you said, Brian Kelly's firing there the following day. I think Texas A&M's potential regular season loss before they play either Alabama or Georgia in Atlanta for an SEC championship, that may come that regular season finale at Texas. That could be a game potentially where a 9-win Texas team needs to win to get an at-large spot in the playoff. They're going to beat Missouri. They're going to beat South Carolina. They're going to beat Samford. But circle that game against the Longhorns as a potential 11-0 loss for the Aggies.
One of those post-Thanksgiving games, I feel like every team, you get a little too full with turkey, a little too full on your record, and you might take a game off there. Okay, let's move in now to the top two. Alberto Mendoza, Kirk Cinetti. They've got Indiana doing things Indiana has never done before. Could going undefeated be one of those things, or do they lose some point between here and as we assume they're going to be a playoff team?
Yeah, Indiana has the easiest schedule left among these 6 unbeatens, including 4 from the Power 5 ranks. Indiana's last 4 opponents in the Big Ten are a combined 1-17 against conference competition. I do think Indiana finishes 12-0, but the Hoosiers' first loss before getting to the playoff as a top 4 seed will come against the next team we're going to talk about, Ohio State and Indianapolis. These are the 2 best teams in the country right now, and it will not surprise me at all if Ohio State and Indiana both go 12-0 and meet each other as the top 2 teams in college football in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza is what I meant to say, not his little brother, Alberto. See, when you go to the same high school like I did, they're both kind of legends right now, winning state titles there. Christopher Columbus down in South Florida. So that's where my head was at there. All right, now let's move over to the team in Columbus, Ohio State. Who can beat them?
It's going to have to be somebody in the playoff. Perhaps they play Indiana a second time after they meet them for a Big Ten championship. But right now, Ohio State is the top-ranked team in the country for a reason. I think the Buckeyes are going to blow out Penn State this weekend, and they'll be number 1 in the playoff selection committee's first top 25 on Tuesday night as well. What I've been most impressed by Ryan Day's club this year is the defense. It is elite. Now, if there is one game, I think everybody knows it there on the schedule, where Ohio State could be tripped up, it's in Ann Arbor on November 29th. They've lost however many games in a row. Was it a handful now under Ryan Day? And Michigan's a team that can control the clock, and that is what's important. If Justice Haynes has a big day against Ohio State's defense, perhaps the Buckeyes do have a blemish before this is all said and done.
All right, we'll see what happens. Still less than 10 teams remaining unbeaten in college football. We'll see how many are left of the next few weeks. Brett Crawford, thank you so much. Reminder, for everything college football, all your needs, highlights, analysis, sound bites, subscribe to our YouTube page. Use that QR code that you see right there on your screen.